Joining me right now is someone who is super cool himself, and it's such a great privilege to have him on EP Live. And this is his first, he's not happy about it, but he's here. This is his first time being on EP Live, but of course he's been a part of Electric Playground and Reviews on the Run for many, many years. The illustrious, the one and only, the statuesque, the fresh peach, Ben Silverman. How
Fresh peach.
How are you?
That's disgusting. I'm okay. I'm taking risks myself today, Victor. I am drinking very hot tea in my Grand Theft Auto glass with the actual. You could actually hurt somebody with this mug.
Is that a hot coffee Grand Theft Auto mug?
It's technically a hot tea.
Hot tea,
but yeah,
that's awesome.
That's illegal. That's illegal. I'm taking risks today too.
That's
good
awesome.
to see you.
Good to see you too, bro. And Happy New Year. This is the first time that you're on the content, our newfangled content. We've launched a daily live collection of live conversations and edited pieces, and we're trying to stack it all together and give people a whole bunch of content every day. But it's super fun. It brings me back to, obviously we have less people involved, but it brings me back to the days of us delivering 2 half-hour shows every day. It's pretty damn cool.
The crazy days. The crazy days. Yeah, when we were the Crappeteers. We were reviewing every we shareware game.
Yes. Yeah. Think we can't escalate to that much stuff, but not yet.
Do not have a goal of escalating.
Oh, I want the Crappeteers back. Trust me. I want you guys back Crappeteering like crazy. So we'll see.
You're going to need to buy me some more mugs for that, buddy. I need 5 or 6 more mugs.
Okay, that sounds like a good plan. But the reason why I wanted Ben on today is because yesterday we spent 2 hours, at least 2.5 hours, but I think the total running time of the video is 2 hours and 41 minutes. We played the hell out of the beta for Sea of Thieves, and I wanted to talk with Ben about that. Jose couldn't join us. He's traveling to Philly, but he was part of our crew until he had a power outage and got booted off the game. But what do you think of Sea of Thieves so far, my friend?
It's ambitious.
Yeah.
It's an ambitious video game. You don't really get how ambitious it is until you start playing it, and you start realizing just how much stuff is in here in terms of mechanics and kind of complexities of a online cooperative video game. And that's really what this is. You know what it really reminded me of, and I didn't get this the first time I played it. I played it briefly at E3 and had some fun, but I was playing with strangers and I didn't really understand it. This time it reminded me a little bit of a great iOS game called Space Team, or Star Trek Bridge Crew or something, where you have a bunch of people in a game together trying to accomplish fairly simple goals. Yeah. And the way that you communicate and trying to kind of everybody do their job to sail a ship or, find some treasure, that's kind of the core game. I mean, there's a lot of mechanics. You have swords and guns and, you can swim and do all kinds of stuff. But really the game I think that we had fun with, the joy that we found together was just solving basic problems.
Yeah.
Like our ship is flooding. We've got to get water out of it and patch it and just yelling at each other to do things. That's the core of Sea of Thieves. And I think that part is really, really great.
Yeah, and those are great analogies of other games that do that sort of team building successfully. But I think it was very smart on the part of Rare to focus on, a genre or a sort of platform that we're all very familiar with. We know the mechanics of being a pirate. It's been served to us for many, many years. So even without a great deal of instruction, it became clear what we're supposed to do. But one thing that helped us out quite a bit is we had this Swedish guy named Bruno on the team with us. Somehow we got magically partnered with this guy. So it was you and Foobs and myself and Bruno. And he played the alpha and he knew what to do. So he was like our guide. And
Blackbeard.
Yeah, and he really kind of sort of led us everywhere. And he would be, I think he was excited as hell to have 3 people that were into it, and we were into it.
Yeah.
But he was.
It felt a little bit like he was a Rare employee. It felt like we were. It felt like we were journalists and he was a developer and he was showing us cool things in the game. I fell right into that rhythm of hey man, what else is cool here? Yeah. Ooh, that's fun. Yeah. And we're all being the snarky journalist, and this guy's an animator at E3, showing us cool shit in his video game. That experience of lucking out and having someone who was experienced in the game. Boy, I think our Sea of Thieves playthrough was really special because I think a lot of people, if you hopped in and didn't have anybody
Yes.
helpful,
Yeah.
like you would be lost for sure for a while.
Absolutely. And honestly, we were lost and we were screwing around and having fun, like drinking too much and barfing on each other and watching the camera get all woozy.
Which is also like a classic journalist thing to do. So
Yeah.
we were not really living any kind of fantasy. We were just
Totally. Pretending we were much younger. But the the thing that I did notice, though, when I played it is like I demoed it at E3 too. Those were terrible ways to demo this massive game. You can't just bite-size this thing. It literally took us 2 hours of screwing around and drowning and sinking our ship and losing people and getting lost and figuring out how to use the compass. The tactility of the game is brilliant. Like you have to physically move your character to the map to see the map. You can't just automatically know where you are all the time. You've got to really kind of touch everything and figure out how to use everything. And that took a long time. And when we did, I noticed that the goofiness really kind of, like us just trying to have fun and test everything and break everything kind of went away. And we just started to work as a team. And it was, I mean, we were really threatened at the end there. We were going to lose a lot of chess, but we worked together and we persevered.
Somehow. Yeah, I think you make a great and really astute point about how, Rare specifically is, a developer that has mastered the design of game of kind of game making. Like they understand how to make systems and mechanics that are very video gamey, like Banjo-Kazooie. Like these are game systems that you press buttons and you warp places and you jump and you double jump, and they're very fantasy, escapist video games. And now this game doesn't allow a lot of that.
No.
Like you can't go to a menu and just warp to someone to sell something to, a marketer or anything. You can't do any of that. You have to physically move around this space. And when you look at the game's kind of incredibly cool, stylish, very rareware visual treatment, there's a little bit of a dichotomy there. Like you expect that you can game around in this thing and just double jump your way to like goofy fun, but no, you have to like think of it like you're really there.
Yeah.
And that transition's pretty hard.
It's a nice combo, though, because it does have some of the rare mechanics, like shooting and sword fighting and jumping and all that stuff feel familiar, even though it's first person and, it's a little bit different from the character on screen kind of stuff that we've seen from Rare. It's still cartoony. It's still, sort of fantasy tinged. But yes, there's a lot more sort of deciphering the mystery of what you're looking for. And I really liked going to these islands and reading sort of the clues on our treasure maps and things like that, sort of pointing us at different areas that we had to, suggesting we go to different areas, and then we'd go and then we'd hunt around, and one of us would find a rock that we would look at, and then some of us would have to we'd all have to kind of play music together to activate something, and then it would send it.
Those were the best parts of our experience.
That was
like
great.
The kind of collective puzzle solving, all of us holding up our treasure maps and trying to riddle something out. That was brilliant. And I think that's going to be the coolest part of the game when people play initially. Yeah. I think one of the problems with this beta, and again, this is a beta, so we're going to not talk, real
we're not reviewing it
about this thing. We're not reviewing it. Just make that totally clear. But a big problem in this beta experience, which is a closed beta, is that there was very little onboarding. So you don't have any idea like even how to access your inventory, how to get to the guns. Like when you would find a guy who you'd sell some stuff to, like you had no idea why you'd get any of the equipment or gear. You didn't understand how gold worked. I mean, it took a long time to even figure out that when you find a treasure chest in this game, which seems like such a big moment, and you're dying to open it up, you don't. Yeah. You don't open up a treasure chest. You have to
at least
put it back on your ship and sail it back, and then just trade it in for gold. That was disappointing, and the fact that it was so opaque to figure out every inch of this game, I think is going to be something that hopefully they really iron out before launch, because that's a huge.
I don't want them to go too far though, because I think it is like this. Everything in this game, and I would hazard to guess this is when you play single player too, because you can play by yourself. But all of the other pirates that you encounter in this game are they're living. They're not artificially intelligent. You'll encounter shopkeepers and barmaids and things like that that are run by the computer. But like we had some cannonball fire and some pirates board our ship, and we all got killed at one point. We ended up on a ghost ship for a little while. But everything that you're combating, apart from skeletons, there is some PvE type gameplay, but a lot of it is true PvP. I liked that so much of this is for you to discover, and I don't want them to handhold us too much, because I feel like, I mean, they're pirates, right? They're not space pirates. They're not equipped with all kinds of incredible technology. That's not Assassin's Creed, where we're going to have suddenly flash to a different time period and have a totally different mechanic. This has got to be sort of work and exist in that thing, and there is going to be a repetition to go sailing from one island to another and explore that island and find the treasure. I don't think they can really, from what we've seen, they're not really going to go too much beyond that. I don't know if we're going to get on horseback or, storm castles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's hard to say. It's hard to know, obviously, at this point, how big of an MMO this is, and that's really what ultimately this is going to feel like, is an MMO,
mm-hmm.
right? You hop in with your party of 3 or 4, or you could just go by yourself. Although sailing by yourself and playing by yourself feels like it just wouldn't be any fun in this. I mean, part of the fun is that I'm steering and you have to throw the anchor down, and then he's got to roll up the sails, and then we're being attacked. And then, we had these chests at one point that were weeping and they were crying. And every time the chest would cry, our boat would fill with water, but they were valuable chests. So you have to kind of decide, are we going to keep these chests on our ship, or are we going to get rid of them? So we were like just manically kind of keeping them on the ship, but then bailing out with water, but then we're getting attacked. And the team play is where this game really finds its strides. I think playing by yourself, just like playing by yourself in an MMO, won't be as fun as if you're playing with friends. But the depth of that, the depth of the MMO, the depth of items and equipment and customization, in this so far, we weren't able to even customize our ship. So every ship sort of looks the same. That stuff is, I think, the stuff that's really going to drive the longevity of the game. Because even though we played for 2.5 hours and it felt very quick, like it didn't feel like 2.5 hours, I don't think I could have played for 5 hours. I think I was at the point where we were feeling like, okay, we did a thing. There was not much else to do.
I think for the beta, I would guess Rare is trying to figure out how people are going to figure out their systems. And I like that. And I don't want that to be completely changed by a on-screen tutorial. Now talk to this person about doing this and go here and say, and I don't want all of the icons and all of the stuff to kind of guide us everywhere. I feel like the value in this experience is also intrinsically tied to how much they don't hold your hand. But
you're unceremoniously, when you start this beta, dude. It's not like you're just dropped on an island. You have no idea how to do anything, and you're just wandering around.
It has to go up from the beta for sure, but not so much that it just becomes, like a follow the icon kind of experience. I think the best part of this is talking with someone that's spent a little bit of time and having them help you, and you create that relationship. And because otherwise, I feel like if that doesn't exist, everybody's going to want to take the helm, or everybody's going to want to take very specific things. I'll take the cannons. No, I'll take the cannons. And you can't really operate that way, right? You have.
Well, and it's also it's taking a big leap, because it's trusting the gaming community to not troll the shit out of each other constantly. I mean, I have some colleagues, some game journalists, who were complaining last night that every time they hopped on to play the beta, they joined a group and got thrown into the brig and just got locked in the brig, and the pirates, the other guys, would stand around dancing and playing music and laughing at them.
Oh, no.
For like an hour, right? And I'm like thinking to myself, first of all, that's awesome. You can do that. Second of all, that sucks that you can do that. And like, there's going to be so many opportunities for trolling and kind of screwing up someone's experience, that it is going to really boil down to how fun is your team, how good are the people you're playing with, who are you bumping into in the world. A lot of the same MMO, pitfalls are going to affect Sea of Thieves. So it's hard to tell until you see it in the wild and see how the community reacts to
Yeah.
it to really know what that experience is going to be like.
I was surprised though, man, because I was throwing shade at this game. Like every demo was disappointing. It's like completely chaotic, and I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I love Black Flag. That's still one of my favorite pirate games. And Ubi's got that new pirate Skull and Bones coming out presumably this year. So we've seen great pirate stuff before, and I just felt like this was just a cartoony kind of take and kind of a crossing swords with Minecraft kind of idea. But I think that there's more to it now. Like running around on the map and finding caves, mysterious caves, and getting sort of separated from my group and getting lost from my group, but also finding my own sense of discovery was really cool. And the other thing was I played it on an Xbox One X, and I know you did too, and I have a 4K television, and you did too. This game is gorgeous. I was not expecting it to be so beautiful. The lighting is some of the best I've seen in any video game. It was absolutely stunning, and this is beta, like it was knocking me out.
On the open ocean, especially when the waves are going, and we went through a storm at one point, and it was really cool looking. One disappointment I had was that you mentioned how you were able to run around on the islands, and you kept falling into caves.
Yeah,
you were like you were definitely having the Indiana Jones experience you've always wanted to have. You were just doing that accidentally. You're like, hey guys, we're on the island, and then you would vanish. But I think what was missing is that even though you were vanishing into caves, it didn't feel like, at least in the beta, there was a lot of depth in the world to discover.
Yes.
Like, I wish you could have dug, and you could have found something that we would never have found. Right. The game that I kept thinking of, and this is totally unfair, I'm just going to throw it out there, is Super Mario Odyssey in terms of density. Yeah. Like, that game was so dense in terms of just around every corner there was a secret. Yeah. And Sea of Thieves feels like it needs that because you spend a lot of time on your ship doing nothing. Yeah. So when you get somewhere, it feels like you need to do more than just like dig up a chest, fight some skeletons, and then go again. Right. Like there has to be stuff, like just stuff.
Are they going to run into some Hello Games style controversy with the launch of this sucker?
Yeah, I mean, that's always a risk, but I mean, they're not good because No Man's Sky, let me just, I've said this a million times in front of you and on this show before. Yeah. If no one had hyped No Man's Sky and that game came out, like what happened with Minecraft, it would still be considered one of the greatest technical achievements in game design.
I completely agree with you.
Reason everyone kicks the shit out of No Man's Sky is because of being on stage at E3 and all the hype. Sea of Thieves doesn't have that much hype. I mean, it's got a little hype. People are talking about it now, but it's not Gears of War and Forza. It's not getting that Microsoft like billions of dollars pushing it.
It's been pretty main stage with Microsoft, and they haven't had tons of other titles to hang their hats on.
But expectation for this game is not revolutionary. Yeah. It's maybe it'll be a fun, goofy game to play for a while. It's not. This is going to change everything.
I think that's one of the reasons why I was so entertained. It was fantastic to play with you guys, and we're grateful to Bruno, if you're watching in Sweden, for being such a great guide. So that was super fun. But it was just put together in a much slicker way than I was expecting. Now, the other thing that's happened since we got the release date and announcement on Sea of Thieves, it comes out on March 20th, and now the beta's, it's closed for now, but I'm sure they can't not ship this game without an open beta. They need to test the hell out of this thing. But they've also announced the Xbox Game Pass is going to be providing day and date, first party access to games like Sea of Thieves. How much do you think this game benefits from that? And gamers benefit from that?
I like it.
Yeah.
I'm a diehard Netflix guy. Yeah. I watch so many Netflix shows, and obviously Netflix has gotten incredibly good over the last couple of years at really onboarding amazing shows and having, some stuff that you can't miss. And I think this concept works well with video games. If you start looking at the numbers, I am going to throw out, numbers for that probably don't make sense. But
I'll just ask Blake to make up a quick infographic that shows us how many subscribers. Blake's giving me the evil eye right now. No, but go on.
Okay, but I mean, whatever. If it's $120 a year or something, I think is something in US at
Yeah.
least for the Game Pass. I mean, look, if you're getting, first crack at a bunch of these games and you're not paying any more to play those games, and I think Sea of Thieves is the kind of game that could potentially have a lot of life behind it. It doesn't feel like you're going to get a game that you're going to play for 5 hours and be like, well, that's that. I
Yeah.
mean, I hope. Now, again, our experience was 5 hours at best. I'll hop back into it and play it one more time, but I'm not dying to spend another 10. I
Yeah.
mean, we were at level, I think when I ended, I was level 7 or 8, and I didn't understand why I was more potent or powerful or
Right.
interesting.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So it's hard to tell until you get the final game to be like, oh man,
Well,
like Monster Hunter World or something where you're like, I just want to keep going and going and going.
yes. Yeah, and we also didn't have the engagement with the environment where we felt like we were more powerful out there. Like we didn't really meet with people and have great conversation. It wasn't really set up like an RPG. It was
No, I mean all skeletons. We didn't fight anything else.
yeah.
They talked about having a kraken and other seafaring creatures and maybe some cool, boss fights, whatever. There's none of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It was still fun as hell, though. Somehow, as slight as it was, I still thought it was fun as hell. My questions about the Xbox Game Pass, and I don't know if you know these answers, but are about do you get all the content? Because everybody has DLC and extra pieces. So if you are an Xbox Game Pass subscriber, do you automatically get everything that's offered up in the Diamond Edition of one of these games? Like I think a lot of those answers being a lot of those questions being answered is going to prove to be a true game changer. Like if that really takes off, and I think it is pretty interesting to kind of compare this directly to Netflix and subscribers not having a second thought about saying, "Yep, I'm subscribing to that. I'm giving that my $10 a month." Or Netflix is continually threatening about charging more, but I think we're all in now, right? Like
I mean, look, $10. If you told me that I was going to pay $15 a month for like every first party Sony game, or if you were going to tell me I have to pay $60 for any first party Sony game,
yeah,
even if over the aggregate I would have only bought 2 of those games and spent 120
yeah.
instead of 150. In my brain, I'd be like, well, I'll just throw that $15 out. It's so easy to budget into my life each month rather than like finding $60 every month to spend.
It is another move, just like the Switch was one of those moves of doing exactly what the video game industry needs to do. It needs, if it's going, it's fine. It's not going anywhere. There are only so many things that we can do when we're sitting on our couches in front of our televisions, and video games will always be one of them. But if they want to grow this audience base and appeal and bring more people in, this is exactly the kind of play that has to happen. And also refute that whole DLC discussion. If access to all of that stuff is tied into your subscription, that's amazing. So I wish much success to Xbox with that initiative, and I'm very curious to see how the competitors respond to this. I mean, imagine if Steam says, we're going subscription. Go ahead. Here's your menu.
Well, I mean, you can do it when you're Microsoft because you're only doing it with your games.
Yeah.
Now, if you were trying to do it with an Activision game, how's Activision going to be like, okay, well, we take a cut of, like, it gets a lot more complicated as it does when you see more companies do this, when you have to pay all these publishers, and publishers don't want to lose out on that sweet DLC money. So it's going to be more complicated than that. But this first step with the first party company saying, the reason you invested in Xbox is because you like our first party games, so we're going to reward that by making it easier to buy them or a little bit more affordable if you're in the ecosystem. I like to see Sony do it. I like to see Nintendo. I like that concept, and just see where it goes.
Yeah, and it should be tied, honestly, to the online subscription thing that you pay already. So they somehow should just blend it all into one fee. You've got all your online connectivity that you want, and here's everything that we made first. That's crazy. Like that is just going to explode in terms of growing an audience. And
you're like a Patreon.
Yeah, in a way, right? Yeah, I support this platform, and crazy days. But Sea of Thieves, I think it's a couple of thumbs up so far. Let's see where they go with this. It was. I had
like a hook.
I had a blast.
A hook.
It gets a hook.
I give it a hookup.
Yes.
Kind of a hook.
Well, thank you so much, Ben Silverman. We're going to have you back very soon, my friend. Have yourself a fantastic afternoon, and we'll see you very soon, whether we're playing in a game or back on the show, okay?
Always a pleasure, Vic. Have a good day, buddy.
All right, you too, my friend. Take care.
Bye, everybody on the internet. Bye, internet.
All right.